15 minutes after the hour, and welcome to Thursday here. 15 minutes away from opening our grain and livestock trade as we ended the grain market's overnight trade, and that's during this pause. A little bit higher here. Let's bring in Rich Nelson, as we always do, to start our day here from our friends at Allendale. Rich, we start out with the weekly export sales numbers. Let's take a look at those and what the trade was expecting, then get your reaction.
Mark, in terms of the numbers on corn, this week was actually a more or less okay week. Total sales, both old crop and new crop combined, 848,000 metric tons, and that was within that 700 to 1.1 million ton range. So corn sales neutral here as far as the trade's expectation. Soybeans were a little disappointing, though. Only 225,000 tons of combined old and new crop sales put together. That was definitely under that 350 to 700 or 750 trade estimate.
Yeah.
So bearish on the bean numbers here.
And then wheat to close things out there. Wheat 551,200. That a little better, was toward the top end of what they were looking for.
That sure is right. And on these numbers, as far as the wheat goes, this was probably the lowest in about 4 weeks, 5 weeks on my records here. So maybe a little disappointing as far as the numbers themselves, but they were within the trade expectation, like you mentioned here. So not a big change on that one.
Back to soybeans there. Again, we saw the Netherlands actually overtaking China this week, of all things. So China was not around in buying this week. But yet, in the overnight trade, we ended still, 3 to 4 higher in beans. They didn't really move the market after they saw those numbers at 7:30 Chicago time.
No, not too much of a big market reaction. I think most people are still more or less looking at some underlying support issues from the weather forecast we just heard, which is still a problem issue for us right now. Not a panic issue for the market, but certainly adding an underlying tone of support here for this grain trade. I'm
going to go ahead and give the grain, sorghum, cotton, and rice, and we'll come back and visit with you here, Rich, a little bit here. Grain sorghum at 46,900. These are metric tons. We don't get estimates here. That they don't give estimate for sorghum. Cotton running bales there at 343,400, and the rice export sales at 12,500. Rich Nelson with Allendale. Rich, what's on your front burner here today? Watching corn, beans, wheat, cotton, rice, whatever it might be.
You know, actually, it's going to be the soybean trade. With these poor export sales, we want to see how the market reaction, because oftentimes these things, which may be a problem here for us in terms of the outright numbers, maybe the market's looking at other issues. So on the soybean side, the fact that we had this higher trade and overnight, and now we've got this negative information as far as the export sales numbers. Let's see how they trade. And my guess right now is they're going to hold their ground pretty well.
Very good, yeah. And we mentioned, Janet mentioning, we have the Stats Canada putting out their planning intentions tomorrow, and it looks like canola is going to be the focus there.
That sure is right. As far as these numbers for the canola number, I believe they're looking at 21 million acres, I should say, for canola.
Yeah.
That would be a change from last year's 20.4. So maybe a little higher canola, adding to this oil seed supply here.
And then before we take a break here, take a look at the outside markets and the Dow, crude oil, the dollar. Of those three, I guess, major ones, Rich, where is your focus going to be today?
You know, maybe as far as the Dow, we're going to see some unchanged trade as far as the futures here for the current discussion here for today. However, we do have some people noting that maybe some GDP estimates, economic growth, may not be as large as initially estimated for the year, so that might add a little pressure maybe in the next day or two there.
Very good. Rich Nelson joining us from friends at Allendale. We are about 10 minutes away from opening the livestock trade here. We do have numbers, export sales, beef and pork. We'll have those for you and get Rich reaction here. Rich Nelson from Allendale continuing after this. And we are 10 minutes away from opening our livestock trade on this Thursday, 20th of April already. Rich Nelson joining us again from our friends at Allendale outside of Chicago. Rich, we do have numbers from the USDA every week, export sales for beef and pork, numbers that a lot better than, the 4-week average, sharply higher. Let's talk about that.
That's exactly right. As far as these beef numbers, 19,700 tons were posted this past week. That's actually the best single weekly sale on beef since, I got to say, in 12 weeks. So good numbers as far as that goes. This was also 57% over last year in the exact same week. So as far as the bull side, great numbers on the export sales here this morning. In addition, let's see here, pork numbers were good as well. Pork side, the best in 12 weeks there, too. 36,200 tons here. So good sales for the meat side, getting these exports really moving pretty well.
Now, when you look at that number and then you look at what the futures have been doing, certainly two markets going opposite directions here for quite some time here, several trading days in a row. Talk about beef here, first of all, and they had a lot of room to make up. Your thoughts moving forward here in the beef complex?
You know, as we're looking forward here, we got now 2 weeks in a row of good gains for cash cattle. A little bit of surprise, and certainly a change in the tone in this market. Cash sales from 130 to 133, touching up in Nebraska, 210 to 212 on a dress basis. So good $2 to $3 gains as far as this market on cash yesterday. In addition, open interest continues to pile in, new entrants into the market, even with yesterday's move. So bottom line for this market, we still have not yet priced in the peak here of where things may be here these next few weeks.
And we're looking at also the cash hog trade and a livestock summary here. What I believe in 19 days in a row that our cash hog trade has been lower?
That's right, $19 in a row. You're looking at, or 19 days, a total of $11 to $12 per hundredweight. You know, we are waiting for this turnaround as far as the seasonal change. It might have to wait maybe till next week is now what the trade is discussing. We have stabilized cash pork, but we still haven't got this cash hog market bottomed out just yet.
Rich, thanks for your time. I'm going to give some other numbers here in the poultry side of things, but we appreciate your time as we do every morning, kicking things off, and we look forward to keeping in touch with you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Nelson joining us. He is for Allendale, their chief strategist, leading things off every morning here on Market Day Report. Certainly appreciate his time and input. As promised here, let's take a look at that livestock summary. We showed you the light to moderate cattle trade, though, got more active late in the day, 133. And the hog trade, the cash market lower again, 19 days in a row, topping out at $45. Carcass trade, more hogs trading on a carcass basis, and that top 56.5. Promising here the poultry side of things, taking a look at our summary there, our egg market holding steady. Finally, boy, it was about 2 weeks in a row. We were down maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 cents a day, but stabilized for at least one day. Large eggs at 67 to 71 cents per dozen. Extra large, 69 to 73. Those are prices per dozen and prices delivered to the store. And then finally, our milk trade down just a couple of cents here. We still quote that May contract at $15.16 a hundred. And Janet, we're certainly watching what's going on with our milk producers, and a great story here to lead things off in the northern belt here, and hopefully that'll get remedied soon.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.